This episode of the Council of the First Ones was recorded on August 16th, 2020.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Council of the First Ones. I'm your host, Kelly, admin for the Nerds on the Couch. Joining me today is our friend David from adultcollector.org. How are you doing, David?
Oh, I'm doing great. It's so wonderful to finally be able to unleash all of this excitement built up over the PowerCon weekend. We finally get to sit down and talk about it. Let's do it.
Oh, yes. That was one amazing weekend. Also joining us is Shawn. How are you doing, Shawn?
Let's talk PowerCon. Let's do this. Well, I think everybody at this point, we're chomping at the bit. Let's just do this because it's nothing like PowerCon to make a He-Man fan go, we get to talk about what for an hour and get into next year's rosters and everything. So let's do it.
Where shall we begin?
And now we don't know what to say because there's so much that happened that it's like, okay.
Let's go here. Let's do this. Let's go over a few miscellaneous things first. How's that?
Yeah. Right. Why don't we start with our preschool stuff first?
Yeah. We got to
bring it on up to the adults.
That's right. Exactly. So we saw some pretty cool reveals from Fisher Price. We got another look at the that multi-pack of Little People's figures. And they also announced
they are shipping those Little People,
which is awesome. And
I just got my shipping notice.
Oh, nice, wonderful. And then there's the extra large Imaginext Masters of the Universe figures.
You mean finally Imaginext is officially saying they're releasing Motu, even though they've been doing it for years?
Yeah. They can do it legitimately now. It's awesome.
But only in 10-inch scale.
Yeah,
start.
I'm sorry, but I wish they'd make it in the regular scale so I can use all the unofficial Motu products they released, Flying Pit, the Roton, with them.
Well, if we're going to get giant He-Man figures, I want them to be giants, right? What happened to those?
Wait, we
your
did
He-Man
get
is Titus
figures.
Now. Yeah, exactly. Titus has some friends to play with.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, looking at those new XL figures, I love Skeletor and Beastman's faces. Those sculpts are beautiful. He-Man gives me the Tapper vibe, the way his hair is blowing,
right.
But I don't like that they went with just the plain face that they said they were going to do with all the good guys. I mean, there's no personality. I guess they're hoping the kids' imagination will take over.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and there's also no accessories from what I understand. So it's like, you got a lot of imagination to fill in the gaps there as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, the Skeletor one, if I had to pick any of them, the Skeletor one probably won me over the most. I really like they made his hood just work in that way that I like seeing it on him, and he just looks like the most. He looks like he'd be a fun character. He just has that. Like, if you had him in your collection, he'd be the little stinker causing trouble all the time. You get that kind of vibe about him,
Nice.
But yeah, the He-Man, I will say that they made the He-Man the most milquetoast version of He-Man I've ever seen. It's very like, okay, he doesn't have the barbarian thing at all. It's very prim and proper, like, hi, I'm here to play school toys with you. It's like, okay.
Right. And they got rid of the Iron Cross.
Yeah.
And when you're looking at the Little People versus the XL, at least the Little People gave He-Man his sword. You don't have anything with the XL. They could have come out with accessories or something to help.
Even the
I mean, they had that gripping hand, What are they going to grip?
Yeah. Some of the the one thing I'll say about PowerCon this year is they are making sure 2021 is going to be that year for Masters. Like it's almost like they're just going back and saying everything you remember from 1982 is just 2021 is going to be that year again for those of us who loved it. But there is certain like I look at that and I'm like, why would you do that first instead of the other way around? Because that would assure that you have the fandom in the smaller range for Imaginext, and then you can have the bigger ones. And it's like, there's that element of, I'd almost like to talk to Mattel in that way and say, like, what was the decision behind this? But unfortunately, we didn't have that question asked or whatever. But yeah, no, I agree.
Or if that question was brought up, they just didn't get to it.
And that was the other problem. I'd say, going into a little quick tangent, it was really cool to have the virtual PowerCon, especially with everything that's happening in the world.
And it was great to have that, yeah.
Yeah, and I really appreciated getting an inside look into some of the stuff we're about to get and everything. But there were like one or two things that I felt they could have done a little differently or better. And one of the things, and I'm not blaming anybody for this, but the one thing I felt was, if you have a Q&A, it is difficult. When you have 600 people on a panel and all of them are typing those questions, it's like, I felt bad for the moderators just even trying to handle the dosage they were dealing with of some of those questions.
Oh, absolutely.
And, they did the best they could. And I thought it was run really well. But there were certain questions that if I was at PowerCon, I would have been like, give me the mic for a second. I want to just ask this or whatever. So it's like, you did the best you could.
Right. Or after the panel, we'd all be running over to the Mattel booth. We have some more questions.
Exactly.
Clarified.
Yeah, it wasn't the same, but it was at least something to tide us over.
Definitely.
I mean, this was, I will say, 1,000% better than what San Diego did. I know right after PowerCon was over, I had to give the big shout out to Val Staples, who's the owner and the director of PowerCon, for doing it this way. Yes, they didn't get to all the Q&A in each panel, but they did try, and we found out just a little too much about Val on the Friday night panel.
What do you bench, bro? I like that one. It's like, what's your workout routine? And he's just like getting so embarrassed.
So there was a power party, like after, like a private panel? Or you're talking about the announcement? That's right.
No, it was the Friday night introduction.
Right.
Like he was willing to answer any questions, and some people were like, so who did your hair? And what do you do for your workout regimen? And then he's like, if you're really serious, I'll tell you. There was a part of me going like, you don't have to do it, dude. But he went there. I'm like, props. I'll give you props for the fact that you're willing to answer. And then they even said, hey, can you kiss the Funko Skeletor behind you? He pulled out the Funko. He goes, okay, fine. And he kisses me like, this is really weird. And I'm like, oh, I'm like, that's got to be the furthest you go, because anything else is going to get worse and worse from here. And this is a family deal, man. So I admire the fact that he entertained stuff like that just to make sure everything was working properly that night. But that was, it was funny at the same time that some were putting him through a little bit of hoops to get to that point.
And the only thing that could have been done differently about PowerCon is I didn't get my raffle winner email. I didn't get it.
I didn't get it either.
Yeah, where is it? I don't know.
We do have other news besides our Fisher Price. We are getting that supplemental book, only available through PowerCon. We're waiting for the announcement when we can buy the bundle, which will be the toy guide with the supplemental character guide. I know Val said on, I think it was Friday night, that he said it would be about $80.
Yeah.
But it will benefit. It will benefit the whole writing team, and it is the only way to get the supplemental book.
Right. Definitely for hardcore fans who can afford it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'd say if you're going to go for one over the other, personally, I'd rather support the people that put the time and the effort into it anyway, because, you know, they're people like us who are just big fans and, you know, they want to keep this torch going, you know, and stuff. So personal opinion, you know, the $80 one, even though it's $80, it's like you're still helping those people who put that together. And that's a great thing to think of in that way.
And they took a big chunk of their, you know, of their time to make this possible. And so,
exactly.
Yeah, I worked on.
I mean, I remember when Renee was working on the original character guide.
Yep.
And all the emails and all like that. It was a good 2.5 years, I believe, he worked on it.
Yeah,
wow.
And me and Renee worked on it, and it was a work of, you know, it was like a work of passion, right? Mm-hmm. We were all, you know, it was made by fans for fans, and you don't see that often, right? You don't see that often.
No.
Yeah.
Nope. Yeah.
And yes, you're going to need a reinforced coffee table for that toy guide. Being over 700 pages.
Wow.
But we're already shopping for new furniture for Snake Mountain. So
yeah. Anyway.
Wait, furniture? I thought it was a new house.
Right.
Of how massive it is.
Mm-hmm. I was literally out this past weekend to IKEA and some furniture stores, like measuring dressers and tables and things. Like, nope, still not big enough. Snake Mountain's too big.
Well, I think maybe the way to do it, not to jump into a different toy brand, but maybe get the USS flag and just
put it on top of that.
Yeah, put it on top of that as the foundation to
there
it.
You go.
I think that would equate to how wide that thing is, or darn close to it. So
yeah.
Yeah. That's if you can afford the USS flag.
Well, and again, yes, there are problems with any of those ideas that I'm throwing out there. This is why I don't throw them out often, because you can see all the holes right there. This is why I don't write movies. Yeah. It's like there's plot holes you could drive Optimus Prime through. So yeah.
You know, we've got this really nice. So to jump into the next thing, you know, we've got this beautiful supplemental book and the new toy guide, which I'm incredibly excited for. We also have another book coming, which is the instructions for the new Legends of Grayskull tabletop RPG that Fandom Tabletop is producing, which is not to be confused with the board game that's being produced by a different company.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the playthrough of that was, I actually sat through that and I wasn't bored for a second. And I don't play that kind of stuff because I always felt very overwhelmed to even go, like, I don't even know where to start if I would do one of those RPG games or anything.
Yeah.
And watching their playthrough, Phil Lamar and Felicia Day was there, and Tiffany, I can't remember her name now. She's also a voice actor for the Revelation show. She's Lieutenant Andra. They all sat through and did it, and I was sitting there going, like, I would do this in a heartbeat, because how cool would it be to say, I get to fight Skeletor? That's awesome.
Yep.
So,
yeah. And Felicia Day was kicking butt.
Yeah.
But she is a D&D player, I thought.
Yeah, that was really fun.
I know it was very interesting, but I would have to sit down and read, okay, how does everything work again?
Yeah.
I'm that guy.
And hopefully they would have, like, the virtual roles, so we could do it on Zoom with our friends or during a council meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I was thinking about on the Facebook group, I made a Legends of Grayskull fan group, and you know, there's an option in Facebook now to create rooms, So we could, on the Facebook group, you could create rooms and play the game all together.
Nice. The other
So,
thing, real quick, it felt like that game actually went quickly. Like that's one of the things that it also scares me about playing an RPG. Like how many hours am I going to do this in one night? And this they did it within an hour, and they
Yeah.
did a playthrough, and I just felt like wow, you could pick this up and run with it pretty quickly, and as long as you have somebody as your dungeon master, whatever they call them there within the confines of that game. I think as long as you have somebody that understands it, you're going to have a pretty easy time to just jump in and have good fun with it. So,
yeah, whoever your narrator is has to really understand the play for novices just getting into it.
Yeah.
I wonder if the game allows for use of like miniatures and such. Because that was an example, right? And, I imagine
I think most of the RPGs you can have miniatures to help illustrate what you're talking about.
Right.
Because one of my colleagues actually was making them for another RPG and was painting them during finals in front of the kids.
Yeah, there's like D&D and Pathfinder. There's lots, that's an integral part in those games, a really fun part too. So I would think that would be perfectly fine to incorporate those in there. And oh, by the way, it was mentioned that they're planning on releasing several different products for that tabletop RPG, like supplemental material. And so there was a lot of emphasis placed on the fact that with the way the game's designed, you could easily incorporate filmation or mini comic, He-Man characters, like characters from every different iteration of Masters of the Universe, which is really exciting.
Well, you're going to need the first edition of the character guide besides the supplemental edition to understand all the characters.
Basically.
Right. Exactly. And that's a really good selling point. Yeah, for the compendium and the supplemental.
Well, on top of that, what was interesting is the whole multiverse comic and the everything. I mean, that seems to be like one of the biggest selling points that they're putting out there now, is because that miniseries happened. That basically is now blowing the roof off the joint for possibilities, and I think that was part of maybe why, as a fandom, it was difficult for some people to think of new ways of interpreting He-Man and interpreting Masters. And this is relying on the idea that all of the characters that were played in the game that day were all part of the multiverse getting brought to Grayskull because Skeletor's messing with the multiverse. And so that is what makes it really fun. You can say, I'm going to come up with my own character, and now this character is legit. Like, this is a multiverse Masters of the Universe character I'm creating within the game. And you could also go by, there are like presets that you could also do if you don't want to go that route, from what I understood. So like there's a part of me when I play it, I'm like, I don't know which way I'd want to go, because a part of me would be almost afraid to come up with something that maybe it wouldn't be as cool as I wanted it to be because it's Masters of the Universe, and the other part of me is like, yeah, but the presets might be limiting. I don't know.
Yeah.
So it's like, which if you guys got to play it, what would you rather do? Would you want to do a preset one, or would you rather do like a legit from the ground up? This is just all you, like all your character.
Probably for the first couple of times while I'm still learning the game, I'd want the preset, sort of like the safety net. Like, okay, yeah, I know what these powers are, but once I fully understood, then okay, I don't need the training wheels. I would just make up my own character like they did and go from there.
Yeah, honestly, I think I'd do it exactly like that, because I want to get to know the game before I'd really quote unquote settle down my roots in that way, because I feel like once I create a character, I'd want to make that character go through the whole thing and build the character up, and all that. So I'd be right there with you. I'd want to do the presets just to get my bearings and then go from there.
Mhm.
And what was actually funny about it was not too long ago, I was thinking to myself, Masters doesn't have a speedster. Like there isn't a Flash character in Masters anywhere. Like I know there's, we have, oh crap, I can't even think of his name now. Dragstore. I know he's in there, but that's not technically the same as a speedster in my opinion. And then when they played it, it's like they have this Hypernus character, and I'm like, well, somebody else thought the same thing. That's pretty cool. So that was Phil Lamar's. He was the speedster of the heroes that were brought in to fight Skeletor that time around.
I like that, they had those custom characters, and it encourages you to make your own, to really get into customizing the game. And
Yeah.
I've been purchasing some custom made Masters of the Universe game miniatures from somebody on a different Facebook group, a Motu gaming group, and they're gorgeous, and I can't wait to incorporate those into my RPG play along with the board game. And
Nice.
It's worth mentioning that you could most likely you can absolutely use the miniatures that come with the new board game that's coming out and use those with your RPG game.
Yeah, 2021 is going to be weird. I'm going to be actually play role-playing games now. This is nuts. It's like I'm looking forward to all this other stuff plus role-playing games.
Yeah.
But Shawn, just think, 2021 is just the preview. What do they have in store for 2022 when it's the big 40th?
Oh, I think our all of our heads are going to explode next year when we get out there, and hopefully we're out in Anaheim for the next one, because I'm gonna I gotta say this because this is just me being me. I honestly think they're gonna finally say, now we're gonna show you Revelation at PowerCon at 2022, and I'll just be sitting there going, finally.
Right.
It feels like I felt so bad, like not to switch gears into that panel completely, but I felt so bad. Kevin Smith, you could just see it in his eyes, like he really wants to pull it, like he wanted to treat us to something. And I love that Mattel just had this not yet. The poor guy was just like, what am I allowed to tell then? They're like, nah, don't say a word. So I keep getting that like 2022.
Something.
Yes.
No, I know he gave us little bits, but I'm the guy. I'm waiting for the trailer. I'm waiting for the character mock-ups finally, and it's like the poor guy's not able to give us hardly anything. This is killing me too.
Previously, I think the last time he was interviewed, very recently, he said, well, hopefully, well, he wasn't interviewed, but he had a video, and he said, well, hopefully we'll be able to show you something really cool during next year's San Diego Comic-Con.
And that was mind-blowing to me.
Yeah. Well, so what he shared during, and it was really cool that he surprised everybody at PowerCon, right? He wasn't even announced to be part of the show. He showed up and he said that
they should have announced it on Friday. The way Val was even questioned about, is Kevin Smith coming? And the way he looked around the room, like he knew something was up, but he couldn't say.
He gave a big shrug and had a big smile. That was about it.
Yep.
And that made me go, okay, which panel is it going to be versus, is he going to be there? And the way they did it worked, I think. They fit him in pretty nicely this year.
Well, and he gave us some good information regarding the show itself. He said that the show is 40 to 50% finished. Each episode will be under an hour. The show will include mini comic characters and other characters. It was said that all environments are in play, all characters are in play, all vehicles are in play, which is awesome, going back to the whole multiverse aspect. Hero is the version of the character you want, the 1987 version. And
Mark Hamill recorded all his lines in a closet.
Yeah, that was great.
It's funny he mentioned that because a good friend of one of my best friends, he is a voice actor himself, and he has this set up in his closet.
I mean, when he came out with that, all I thought about was Skeletor and He-Man doing that Dirty Dancing commercial.
Okay.
I'm like, okay.
Well, not honestly. Like I know even there's a podcast. It's for the TV show Scrubs, and Zach Braff and I'm having a hard time. Donald Faison. There it is. They record in their closets because they need to get away from their family while they're recording their show. So that's probably why it's like the quietest place in the entire house, probably with the least amount of echo. If he's in the bathroom, I can imagine it not working well to record just with like whatever sound there. But the closet's probably the easiest place to have it, like here's a little sound room because your clothes are going to help with some of the reverberation and all that kind of stuff, sort of like a sound booth. But yeah, it is kind of funny to think they're finishing this show using people recording in their homes, in their closets in order to get this on the road. So it's
amazing.
It is. And you know, like for as much as I'm just like, I'm ready to see something, it's like, you got to give them credit there. They're still pushing forward with it, with everything happening in the world. And I mean, honestly, even though I was still like, we're still not seeing designs, we're still not seeing a teaser or anything. It's like, I actually got more pumped for it by just them talking about what were, you know, the possibilities that are on the table with this show. Well, so, you know, I can't complain.
And they have so many talented celebrities in this show for the voices already. But Kevin said during the panel that, you know, that they're not through yet in announcing new voice actors for this show, and that there will be characters, that you haven't seen announced yet. So very exciting.
Yeah, I know there were a lot of people.
And I was going to mention that he did tease that there's going to be a prequel comic book.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which it's amazing. I cannot wait to see where they take it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to whoever's left that they haven't announced yet. I'm interested to see, you know, like I know there were people, well, where's Ram Man? Where's Manny Faces? You know, where's Stratos? And it's like, you know, okay, you know, we might be getting some of those questions answered pretty soon with any additional cast listing and stuff. And I'm knowing Powerhouse and seeing the stuff that I've seen them do to this point, I'm just going to be grinning from ear to ear when they finally unveil this stuff, because I think they're going to do some really cool visuals. And the whole, you know, I love that he keeps on the fighty and everything. And we'll take it from here, Kevin, you know, and all that stuff. But yeah, I think it's going to be good. And the prequel books, did they say it was one book, or is it going to be a couple different books?
That's the whole series.
The whole series. Okay, because the way, maybe I heard it wrong. The way that I thought it was almost like they were going to do like a couple that were going to focus on the characters leading. Like this book might be about Tila, this book might be about Adam or something.
That could be it.
But I don't want to misinform by saying that's what it is.
Sure.
I got that impression, but I could be wrong. So.
Yeah, it might be to bring people up to speed, to remind them, or to introduce the younger generation to them.
Yeah, and I mean, there were people that Netflix is definitely the way to go for this stuff, no matter what anybody else would say, because I mean, just watching their push on some of these other shows lately, like the Transformers one, that blew up. I was amazed how much I saw things about that go on. I mean, I know we tangented the last episode about that, but it's like that, seeing the toys with the as seen on Netflix and all that kind of stuff, it's only going to help, because then when you see the comic tie-ins, as you know, as seen on the Netflix, you know, Masters of the Universe Revelation, you see the toys or whatever, it's like, yeah, you know, I mean, this is going to make sense when we finally see it pay off, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, in 2021, supposedly, is a movie year.
Supposedly.
Yeah.
Let's see it.
There was an article just the other day of that actor, you know, the main actor who's going to play He-Man. He's working out for that movie. So we could see it come to fruition, and everything, you know, we could see everything come together as they were planning to have happen, which is to have the movie out, have all these prepared, supporting toy lines and such all be present when that hits, so that it'll make a huge splash.
Well, Origins is already making a huge splash in Walmart. I've actually found the pig with the Origins name on it, without a figure, but with the name on it.
Yep. I'm right there with you. I was out how many times since the last episode we recorded, and every time I go to the one that there's the prices on the pegs, I've never found that. The only thing they had was the Eternia minis, and that was it. And I'm like, okay.
Really? Mine didn't even have those. And they did a full reset, and you could see where all the Motu's supposed to be. It's right dead center, all blank.
Yep. That's mine too.
Well, and have you been using BrickSeek and the barcodes, the downloadable barcodes?
Yes, and they keep saying out of stock for the ones in New Jersey.
Well, so what you do is you go to the store and you have them scan the barcode, and you want to have them scan two different barcodes. You want to have them scan either a Battle Cat or a Sky Sled barcode. That's that's basically one shipment where they have the different cases, but they usually show up together. And then the other thing is that miscellaneous variety of regular figures. You want to have them scan that barcode, and on their scanner at the top it shows them how many are on hand. And if you have them scroll down on their scanner, it'll show you the estimated arrival date. That estimated arrival date will change. It'll keep getting pushed out, but then when they show up, and people have been using different strategies. I've been there where I'll show up at 8:30 at night when they're bringing out the pallets, and I'll look at the pallets, and it might be right on top of the pallets, or where you can just grab the case and have them open it up and sell you the toys. Other times it's you're showing up right at like 7 a.m. And checking out the toy all there. But yeah, that's basically how you can go about it.
And have you seen the photos from Texas with the end cap displays
that people are actually taking home with them?
Yeah.
Yes.
I've seen two people now in groups that they have them in their homes, and they have all the Origins figures that were in it with them. It's like, that's amazing. I don't know. I think I'm of two minds about that. There's a part of me that's like, it would be really appealing to be able to go, I'm taking the whole thing, because it's like, it's like, how often do you get a part of your childhood come back in that way, Mm-hmm. But then the other part of me is, I agreed with somebody on one of the groups going, yeah, but if you actually leave that there, that's going to let people still see that the brand is out there and it's alive and well, and it's going to get more interest for people that might not know these groups and know the community like us. So I'm kind of that mindset, I think, a little bit more, because I'd rather know that a 5-year-old kid out there is going to see this and probably get wowed by it. And it'll be just like how I was as a kid versus taking it home with me. And then it's like, my kids will be thrilled, but that's it. They already know I love this stuff. So,
well, it's only
it's a balance. Yeah, it's a balancing act.
Mm-hmm.
I would actually leave it, but talk with the store manager as soon as it's empty or within so many weeks. Can I get it? Because they'll throw it out.
Sure.
They will.
Yeah.
And if you find someone who's willing to work with you, you can. Because I know the one manager I worked with was able to hook me up with the Funko, Battle Cat, and He-Man that I had been looking for. And he took it right out of the box for me.
Nice.
He called me up, said it came in. I have it in the back. Do you want it? I'm like, sure. He's like, okay. When do you want to come by and pick it up?
Very nice. That's awesome.
But you have to develop the relationship with the department manager and the store managers to work out those kind of deals.
Mm-hmm. You're absolutely right. It's just a matter of time before they start showing up on eBay, those display cases, and they're going to be sold for, I would imagine, over $100. People are going to pay for them, and then you won't find them anywhere. Scalpers are just going to eat them up.
Probably.
Yeah.
But
I'm waiting to see all the scalpers starting to return all the toys now that the market's being flooded.
That's what I was actually just gonna say. Like at the panel, Mattel put it out there like, we're gonna have plenty of this. It's not like this is just here's this little bit and they're exclusives and that's all you're gonna get if you don't get to Walmart that day to pick them up. They're gonna be flooding the market with this stuff. So if you are tempted to get them and they're not in your area, just be patient. You don't have to pay, like 30, 50, 60 bucks a figure to get these things. Just wait a little bit. A lot of the Walmarts locally around me in Pennsylvania, they're resetting for the fall. So, and I think that's when some of these Walmarts are finally going to put these out. And I know at the panel, Mattel was saying, we were hoping that it would have been out faster, but this is how Walmart's working with us right now. But it's like, by the time September, October, you're going to probably see these all over the place, and it's not gonna feel like it's you're on a treasure hunt anymore. It's going to just feel like you're home. Here they are, and you can pay $14.99 compared to whatever scalpers rates are nowadays.
Right. Yeah. Well, and it's a hard ask because people have been waiting over a year for them already. But as we're seeing in Texas and almost exclusively in Texas at the moment, they are, you're seeing what kind of distribution they're getting, that they're putting out there for the rest of the country. They are flooding the stores, and I think it's, maybe another couple months, the prices should go way down on the secondary market for these, hopefully.
Yeah. But classics will never die like that. That's the thing.
No, but there is light at the end of that classic tunnel with the new 7-inch line coming out next summer.
This was the part that turned me into a little kid at Christmas. This reveal out of everything was the one to make me I almost jumped out of my chair and was cheering and waking my kids up that night, because it's like, here I am trying to watch this in my basement. My kids are in bed, and all of a sudden they're like, Classics fans, we've heard you. And I'm like, woo! And the next thing I know, they show this, and we don't know what they're going to look like. We just see silhouettes, and those things have been making the rounds and all that stuff. But that was enough for me to just be so happy, because that's my wheel set. That's more what my happy spot is right now as a collector. And it's been really fun all week, actually, to look at those silhouettes and just wonder, there's some that it's obvious who it's probably going to be. Then there's others where it's like, it could be this guy, it could be that guy. So,
we know we are getting Mothman, because the packaging they showed us had his name right on it.
Yeah, and the artwork on the side too. Yeah.
Yeah, and actually, what we're talking about is Masterverse, and this is the new deluxe line, and it's going to apply to any era of Masters. It's basically, the way I equivalent it, and maybe I'm wrong with this. It's going to be the Marvel Legends of Masters, I think, because you're going to probably have waves showcasing different characters in different iterations. So the first wave will be Revelation, and they're going to have 8 figures coming out with Revelation characters, and then they might do other branding from there of, who knows, Filmation, 2000X, mini comics, whatever. And that's going to be fun just to see every time they unveil new ones. I'll be excited, because I'm like, well, what are we going to get this wave, and all that. So,
well, I'm hopeful.
And I love the box that looks like it's going to be where we can take out and put back in. So if we want to play with it and then say, yeah, it's the Minton box.
Yep. Yeah, and
this is our Black Series.
Exactly, and this was what we were promised with the Ultimates, and we couldn't get. So now we finally have it with this series, which is going to be really cool.
And it's affordable.
Yeah,
Not
$20.
like the classics where we were paying $25 plus shipping plus the tax. Oh wait, that was $50.
Yeah,
with
yeah.
Digital River.
And then
Yeah.
and then it ended up with Super 7, $45 a pop.
Yes.
Plus shipping on top of that.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where we're going to be able to get it at retail, 30 plus points of articulation.
Yeah.
Same scale as classic. Hopefully they're bringing in the horsemen to do them.
Mm-hmm. I hope.
That was a question mark.
That's a big question mark. I mean, because I'm hearing that Four Horsemen, they're not as involved with Origins as I previously thought they were, and so yeah, I want to see more Horsemen work. I want to see more sculpting from them.
Well, right now they're busy working for the House of Mouse, because I just ordered the 3 figures that they sculpted with Super 7 for Disney.
Yeah, the Disney Ultimates figures. Those are beautiful.
I don't. If there was a line that I think they were supposed to do, it's this one though, and I will really feel that if Mattel doesn't have them on board for the Masterverse, I'm really gonna feel let down, because it's like we've trusted these guys for 20 years with the and they barely. I can't think of a time they've done us wrong. Usually everything they've done has been knocking it out of the park, or at least making fans really thrilled in one way or another at the minimum, and it's like this one, especially with how much articulation you're talking about and the sizing of the figures, and plus with those silhouettes that they released at PowerCon, just looking at the designs of them, it reminded me of
it screams them.
Well, it does. It reminds me of like 2000X, the way that it seems like it. And granted, this is not. You're looking at. I think what they're doing is it's the character models for Revelation, and we're seeing silhouettes of them. We're not seeing the like. This is the legit figure you're going to get. But I'm crossing my fingers and hoping that. I know the He-Man that was just standing there is going to be. That's how the He-Man will look when you just stand him on the shelf. But I'm kind of hoping that this set, because of it being a collector line and because it's mass market, that they can do a little more individualized customization between the figures. Of He-Man can have the bigger, bulkier look like he does in the picture, but maybe Skeletor can be a little leaner. And then maybe Man-at-Arms will be big like in 2000X or something. Like there's that part of me going, I hope they go back to that again, because that was a treat for that line. And then you apply that to classics with that mentality, and I will probably be like a kid at Christmas when I see them on the shelves and just be like screaming and jumping up and down, because I want that in my figures after they gave it to me in 2000X that way. I thought it was well done. I just wish they could have maybe done the scaling a little bigger on some of them. Like Beastman, I would have loved to see just a little bigger than he got, stuff like that. So this might be their chance, and again, all of this depends if it's the Horsemen, so I can't really, crossing my fingers. Hopefully they're involved. But this is the line that had me like, I can't wait for this. I want to see this so bad right now.
I'm just like, there's a lot of like, are we gonna like it? Are we not? There are a lot of question marks yet to be answered, and we'll see. It's Masterverse: The Evolution of He-Man. Yeah. And of course, I'll invite everybody to check out the Masterverse page and the Masterverse: The Evolution of He-Man fans group on Facebook.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I like that right after PowerCon.
Yeah. And we'll probably be seeing these figures at New York Toy Fair in February.
That'd be amazing.
If it goes on.
Well,
I have to preface it because New York Comic Con just announced that it is canceled.
Oh, I see.
And they're going to do a virtual.
Virtual, yeah. Summer 2021 is the release date for the Masterverse figures. So.
Right, that's why I figured New York Comic Con will probably be when we would see them. not New York Toy Fair.
Right.
I'm almost hoping they do something even sooner than that, only because the way they talked at the panel, there was this element of we want to show these to you as soon as we possibly can. If it ends up being New York Toy Fair, okay. But I kind of was like, maybe before the end of the year we might get something. Who knows? But I don't know.
know.
There was
right now most of the toy companies are switching into holiday gear, getting ready to start pushing for the holiday season, and right after that is when New York Toy Fair and all the big announcements from the big toy companies.
Yeah.
Because that's February, right after the holiday rush, and the stores are ready to restock and reset all their toy aisles. I know Mattel and Hasbro have in-house, like their own little toy fair for buyers. I don't know if anything will leak out from those. I'm not sure when they are. And the only other big event with toys is the Dallas Toy Fair. But most times Mattel and Hasbro aren't there. It's more for the smaller toy companies to try and get into retail stores.
Okay.
Because that would be happening in October. And you rarely hear any news coming out from the Dallas Toy Fair.
Yeah, it should be. And they could always do well. Okay, so they could always make the announcement on one of their new websites. They introduced the new website mastersoftheuniverse.com, which has, it's a really well-built site, of course, with some good information and news. And there's another website, and that's kind of one of those, it's coming up. It's got a little timer on it. It says it's called creations.mattel.com.
Makes you wonder if they're trying to do what Hasbro has with HasLab, or a revamping of Matty Collector, where we are able to pre-order stuff,
like a Hasbro Pulse,
especially with that countdown.
Yeah, 23
and that
days.
would be a great place to do a sneak peek of Masterverse or any of the new Masters of the Universe toys coming out.
Or and also the the new shows, like the other Netflix more child-oriented 3D cartoon that's coming out,
which is not getting a heck of a lot of love. Like there's nothing
what's
about
there to
that
love?
right now.
I mean, there's no information at all. Yeah.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like they haven't given us hardly, like we keep getting more updates on Revelation, but that one, it's like it popped up and we saw a couple of images and there's nothing to talk about on that one. They're not even offering any information on that one. It's all just pointed at Revelation. And I was actually like kind of excited to go, hey, that would be the one I could show my kids. I was looking forward to hearing more information, and feels just kind of like that one is just radio silent for quite a while now.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see about that one. It might have been put on the back burner with the coronavirus.
Could be.
It's possible.
Yeah, they could be hit harder than, companies are all different. Some are affected more than others by this. So, one other website.
Oh, I was going to go on because there's still a lot more stuff that we haven't even touched from PowerCon.
Absolutely. I wanted to mention one more website, which was on the PowerCon website. We got to see the Grayskull Treasure Room, which I thought was kind of neat. It seemed to be a little slow, and didn't offer too much in the way of new actual, reveals, but still, I think it was really fun.
I mean, I wish when you found something that we could have zoomed in on the pictures when they were shown.
Right.
They were locked to a certain size. But otherwise, I mean, it was a nice thing. I know it was a first attempt.
Mm-hmm.
They wanted to do something special, something new. But I do agree it was very slow with the moving.
Yeah.
It was slightly confusing to me because like there were certain parts where why were there coins that were white and yellow, but every other coin in the background was like uniform, you know? Like so I was like, oh, maybe this does something, and I'd be sitting there clicking those, and I'm like, okay, this isn't doing anything, but why are they that way? It was driving me nuts to see those, and I think like I thought the idea actually would be cool, and I felt like with how they had to make PowerCon work this year, they did the best they could in that area. I didn't feel like they were trying to shortchange us or anything. But my thing about it was if you weren't on Facebook, some of that would have been surprising maybe. But like Thursday night, all of a sudden I got like, oh, here's what the PowerCon exclusive box will look like, and I saw it already. And then when I go in there and they're showing it, I'm like, well, I just saw that. Like I've kind of felt bad, like it was almost undercutting the point of that room by being in the groups and stuff. So I mean, that's honestly that could be my fault for being on social media, I guess, but. I just felt like that was not the best reveal to do it on Facebook, and then here it is in that as well. I don't know. I kind of felt I don't know. I just kind of felt like they did the best that they could with the stuff they had available to them to make that room. But I felt like at the end of the day, it could be something they build on for next year to make it something a little bit more special, maybe because. I know the big deal, like Val was like, don't tell anybody what's in there all weekend and da 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 da. And after the weekend, I noticed no one was saying anything about it. So that kind of made me go, did it go over well? Did people not like it? I didn't hear a thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I didn't hear a thing either. I mean, a lot of people kept asking to see what the Shira box would have looked like, because we only had that little snapshot teaser that Mattel showed. And yes, they showed the top part in the treasure room, but we didn't get to see how was she being presented.
Yeah, I did like that part. That was probably my favorite part of it, was they were showing the box art without any wording on it. And it was just, here's the art just as it is. And
Yeah.
I did like seeing that part, but yeah, there's like there was no indication past seeing the art for it, what it's going to look like and what you're expecting and all that kind of, but except for the 5-pack exclusive, they at least showed that whole thing together.
Yeah, that was cool.
Well,
that you actually got a rotating, video of that packaging.
Yeah.
I'd say because so many people kept saying, when are we going to see the packaging? When are we going to see the packaging?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't blame them on a $200+ purchase that you want to see how are you going to be shipping them.
Right.
Mm-hmm. I just wanted to say I felt that the team that they had to do that art for the 5-pack in particular. Mm-hmm. I know it was Axel Jimenez and Nate Barch helped with that as well, and I'm sure there were other people. I don't know their names off the top of my head to think of who they were, but I know they did some great nostalgia on that box, and when I saw it, it made me smile because like those are iconic images I remember from the very beginning of Masters, and I love their little spin on it, taking those figures and turning them into. They're giving the nod at nostalgia, but they're also giving you like, but it's this take on it now, and It was such a nice best of both worlds way that they're presenting that piece in particular. That I wanted to say good job to everybody involved. It's a beautiful piece, just like the one they did for San Diego Comic-Con, so last year. So,
and I'd say since this was really their first time doing this treasure room. And they probably did it on short notice. Because normally to build an interactive area for online takes months.
Yeah, yeah, and that's why I wasn't even trying to give them too much in the way of negative criticism. I was like, well, I felt like they were cobbling together everything they had ever since Origins had been announced, because they did have that ad originally for the 2-pack from San Diego Comic-Con with all the old vintage figures chasing after the new Prince Adam, turning himself into He-Man and everything. And I was like, well, that almost made me nostalgic for like a year ago, just knowing that was on its way and everything. But yeah, I think they got everything the best they could with the situation and for how fast they could develop it. Because I mean, it wasn't that long ago where they finally said PowerCon couldn't happen this year the way they intended. So I'm sure Mattel was probably like, we got to get this stuff, we got to get something going here that'll be special. So
Yeah.
I can't fault them on that. So,
and hopefully they're going to build on it and work out the little bugs and all like that.
Sure.
So the next time we go into it, it will be like, wow.
Yeah. I mean, what I think, what I hope that they would do is start right now and start building it towards next year with everything. And because I'm curious whether everything went well enough that they want to consider doing a virtual end of the PowerCon like they did this year, because it seemed to me Val almost was like, it's possible we might do something to supplement PowerCon for people who couldn't get there. In general, it seemed like that was something he was open to if it went well this year. And so that could be a really cool addition to what they do each time.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Easily.
Well, we still have so much to talk about. Oh my gosh! So it's been an hour. Let's dig into some more stuff here. So how about we talk about the Mega Constructs reveals?
Oh, I can't wait. I mean, yes, they showed us a lot of prototypes and showed us different development stages.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we did see a lot, like Screech and Pink Tila and Zodak. Those were still in the prototype. If I remember correctly, those were right after they get their first paint job after being 3D printed. I remember from the panel.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there are some that are set, like Skeletor is coming out with a Flock Panther. And we are getting a Battle Ram with Mechanic, which is a new thing in the Mega Bloks line with the extending neck.
Yeah.
Because no other figure has that kind of neck. So that was something brand new.
Mm-hmm.
And we are getting Triclops, and his visor will spin.
That's really fun.
Mm-hmm.
And they are working on Ninja and Webster too, because we got to see those also in the prototype phase. So there's a lot coming. They heard our cries for Scareglow, so I have a feeling they're going to be reissuing Scareglow.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if they were going to reissue him or if they were going to give us a slightly different version or if they were going to pack him in with something else. I'm not sure.
Yeah. I mean, sort of like Stratos, they did release him multiple times. Blue wings, red wings. Blue jetpack, red jetpack.
Mm-hmm.
So, but Scareglow is the hardest to find.
As usual.
Because he was shortchanged because they cut that wave extremely quick, and it didn't hit all markets. A lot of them went directly to $5 and below and other $5 chains.
Right. Well, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say I'm amused that they have the Flock Panther for that line, because I would have, out of any line, I think you could have forgiven them for doing a sculpted Panther and that's it. And instead, it's like they are. That's what I loved about finding that out. It's like you find that out, and then in the Origins line, it's like, well, you have a mix or match. Which one do you want? But it's like here, it's just no. We just doing the flocked, and that's the end of it. So,
Yeah, like, of course we would flock him. What?
yeah, and I mean,
Makes perfect sense.
I've admitted this a few times now, but like I'm the worst fan because I'm one of those people that I look at Panther and I'm like, it doesn't bother me if he's flocked or not flocked. If the sculpting underneath is still really good, I'll take it unflocked because then I can appreciate the artistry that went into the sculpt and everything. But like, yeah, I give them credit just because they didn't even think twice. It's like, yeah, he's flocked. Boom, that's it. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
oh, go ahead.
I want to get into the Skeletor head stuff because I mean it's showing. So they've got these amazing Skeletor heads, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I love the fact that they come. You know, one of them has the tower tools in it with Fisto.
Yeah.
Yep.
How amazing is that? Tower tools. Now it's like as soon as I saw that, I was like, well, now we need it for classics, we need it for Origins, we need it for Masterverse, all of it.
Well, maybe that's on the radar. Maybe eventually we're going to have. I mean, we have the Castle Grayskull if they hit Snake Mountain, and then if they hit Eternia, maybe who knows? I mean, that would be a heck of a thing. But I'm sure that's going to be at least double the amount of Grayskull probably to get that one. But
Well,
Right.
they even admitted during the panel, Grayskull was the largest mega box set they've ever created. And they are re-releasing it because it is so popular.
Right.
So hopefully we will see a Snake Mountain. I assume it's going to be even more than the 3,500 bricks.
Yeah,
I'd
what
be
did they
shocked
say
if it
about
wasn't.
Snake Mountain? I'm trying to remember what they said about Snake Mountain. Like they don't have one planned yet.
They have it as an idea.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
So it's not ready to go out. But we are getting the Jet Sleigh, the mini comic cap draw. I mean, those Skeletor headsets are amazing. And one of them will glow in the dark.
That's awesome.
I'm hoping they come out before Halloween. Get a whole bunch of the glow in the dark ones to line my windowsill.
Yeah.
That would be cool. I could so picture you doing that actually.
Well, I saw the Skeletor heads, and my first thought was Mad Max. I need Motu Mad Max heads that open up to reveal wonderful playsets and little minifigures.
Those things just, I don't know. There was something about those that brought me back in the early '80s. Kenner put out the Micro line for Star Wars, and it had that feel to it. And when I was a kid, those things were so cool because they were my size. Like for my hands and for my everything. It was just like those were perfect play sets to play in for that reason, and it gave me the warm and fuzzy seeing them like that too. It's like, oh, now Masters has that version. That's so cool.
Well, it's fun seeing. I like to think about how they upscale these toys that we played with as children. So now we've got larger Ninja Turtles, larger He-Man figures, and I wonder how much of that clicks in our brain that that if that's part of the nostalgia in our brain that this toy, when we were a kid, it was this big in our hands, and now we can get that same feel in our hands of the same toy.
Well, here's something that blew my mind because I don't have many of my vintage anymore, and I didn't have them on hand when I got my first Classics figure in my hand just like a few years ago, like back in 2016. I took He-Man out of the package, and I'm holding him, and I legitimately was like, this is what I thought I was playing with all along when I was a kid. And then when I got a bunch of my vintage stuff, because my mom ended up bringing me a bunch of boxes of all my old toys, and I had them down in my basement, pulled out my original vintage or my second one, because my first one broke his leg, and I was like screaming my head off, like, I died. My mom thought that I like injured myself, and it's like, oh, my He-Man, I just one leg. And I got the second one. I got it was out of my box, and I looked, and I'm like, he's so tiny. Like in my hand
Oh,
now,
yeah,
and it's
yeah.
like when you compare the two, it's the fact that they did what they did. The Horsemen did that because they wanted you to feel like a kid again, holding the classics and going, "This is how it felt to hold those in my hand." But then you look at the vintage, and it's like, oh, I love that. It really taps into those feelings and those nostalgia waves, and it's like love it. I love it all. So.
And this is the
Well,
year.
oh, what were you saying, Dave?
I just wanted to mention that this is the year I feel like this is a golden year for toys. Because in the fact, not because of the scalpers and bots and all that crap. I'm talking about the fact that in the Transformers, where they're bringing back they're actually making appropriately sized cartoon, Transformer figures that are gorgeous. And you've got the Ninja Turtles, you've got the NECA line for the movie figures, and you have the and some other figures. You've got the Super 7 Ninja Turtles, you've got the GI Joe classifieds, and the re-release of some of the 25th anniversary figures in the form of the retro GI Joe line. It goes on and on. I mean, and everything that's happening with Master of the Universe. It's amazing.
It is definitely the golden age for 80s toy line.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, speaking on that really quick, like I'm buying GI Joes again. I was like, what the heck? I have 2 coming to me tomorrow, and I'm so excited. I got Snake Eyes and Scarlet on their way, and I got a Duke coming to me at the end of the week, and I'm like, I haven't picked up a GI Joe in longer than Masters at this point.
Right.
And it's like you're saying, it's like I got Ninja Turtles on my shelves, I got Masters, I'm gonna have GI Joe again, and it really is like the warm and fuzzies when I go down in my basement and I see all these old faces that are new again, but you're coming home every time you see this stuff. It really is. If you can avoid all the scalpers, the bots, like you were saying, it really is like it's like a renaissance again of all this old stuff is great, new, and fresh,
And if you haven't,
I mean, the only thing that would make this better is if we had a Toys R Us or a KB toy store.
Right.
Then we'd all be in Nirvana.
Trust me, going to Walmart's lately has made me miss Toys R Us more than I can possibly imagine, other than when they first closed. I couldn't believe that ever happened, number one, but it's like I'd rather just walk into a toy store now than go into a Walmart or Target right now.
It's sad that
I mean,
we don't even need a Toys R Us.
I mean, I'm fortunate that I'm in one of the states with one of the 2 only Toys R Us.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Nice.
There's one in Paramus and one in Dallas, Texas.
Very cool.
And they just allowed the malls to reopen, so I haven't gone up to Paramus to see if Toys R Us has done anything with all this nostalgia coming out. I figured I was going to wait till 2021 and then see, do they have Masters of the Universe there?
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't know if that part of the mall is even open yet, because it has a big AMC and theaters are still closed in New Jersey. They don't even know when they'll be allowed to reopen.
Well, so lucky that you have a Toys R Us there. When Canada finally opens up their border, and I totally understand why it's closed. There's one in British Columbia, right over the border, pretty much, that I can go to.
Nice.
Yeah. Even if I don't buy anything, because everything's a little more expensive up there, I can still go in and get just absorb it all.
Yeah, that's sometimes all that you need, just to walk in there and just you get that the smell of the place in general, that nostalgia smell, and then you walk around and you just see all of the setups they have and everything. But yeah, especially now, it's like with all this good stuff coming out. I remember when I walk into the one that opened near me, and they'd have the front of the store would just have wall to wall. Here's the latest thing that's hitting, and they'd have all the big signage for it and stuff. And it's like, man, I'd love to walk in there and see like Origins going crazy in the front, or even the GI Joe stuff right now or something. And it's like, nope, this Walmart.
And the Transformer stuff.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
I guess we should talk about the origin.
No, I don't think we should. We should hold it for the next episode.
Isn't everybody sick of this by now? What's this Origins stuff? Nobody cares.
Well, let's go over the mini stuff, and then let's enjoy our dessert, which is Origins, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like my hunch was true that Wave 1 is Castle Grayskull. Wave 2 will probably be Snake Mountain, because Wave 3 is Slime Pit He-Man themed.
Mm-hmm.
Love that box. Yeah.
Ugh. And Wave 4 is Anti-Eternia.
What's the box going to look like for the Anti-Eternia wave?
They did not give us a hint on that. We're not sure if it's Wave 3 or 4, but we will see our first female in the minis with Teela. She was revealed. We will be getting a Man-at-Arms, anti-Man-at-Arms, so he'll probably be Wave 4. And all of the boxes double as stands.
Based on the concept artwork that Dan Fraga used to create the Castle Hellskull for the Multiverse comic, if they go there, I will be amazed, because that thing is creepy looking. And if they don't go there, my bet is either they do that or they'll just have a black Castle Grayskull, maybe with red eyes or something. And I'll feel like that isn't quite the same impact. And plus, that actually isn't the Anti-Eternia version either, which there's an element of that where I'm like, if you're going to do it right. But I can also see why they'd probably go the other route, because they already have the sculpt done for that and everything, the mold and everything. But
it would be really
cool. And the tooling is so expensive.
Right.
I can easily see them just doing the black Castle Grayskull, but they should do the correct version. Hint, hint, Mattel.
Well, I like that. So you mentioned Teela. We're also going to get the Anti-Eternia He-Man, Clawful, and I really like that we're getting a Zodak with white gloves. I think that's a pretty cool variant. Yeah. Just like the Toys R Us 2-pack variant, which is, I believe, how he appeared in the original DC comics, was it?
I believe so.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's pretty cool.
And figuring for $5 a box, they're not that bad. So Mattel, take the code off the bottom. You'll sell more because we'll buy more.
No, thank you. I don't want to. I love the fact that you know what you're getting, honestly.
Yeah, and I will admit that I forgot the codes, and I had an H in my hand once, and after I found out the codes, I wanted to go back and punch myself because they were gone the next time I went back.
Oh no.
So yeah, I'm that guy right now. But no, like I one thing I will say though is I went to a toy show yesterday, and the people there were selling them already for 3 times the price that you get them at Walmart.
Gross.
Oh, boy.
I held one. I saw the price tag on it, and I put it right back because I'm like, no, if I can get this for $5 and just drive literally like 10 minutes away from my house, I'll do that. Thank you, no, but no thanks. And but these are fun. These are one of those impulse buys that if I see them, I'm gonna want to at least get a couple of these no matter what. And the slime wave variants or the like buzz off and whatnot, like you're talking about, those are pretty fun to see, like the green thing. And I think that's a nice ode to the Masters of the Universe magazine cover that they did in the 80s too, because he was the one getting slimed and He-Man's trying to save him and all that stuff. That was cool.
And I actually did see someone's collection that had the minis from the Maddie Collector with the minis that are on sale. They're all in the same scale.
Oh yeah, well.
So they can be using that tooling if they still had it available.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the only ones that aren't in scale would be the original 2-pack for the original minis. That was He-Man and Skeletor. So it's really great to see that those two figures, the most important figures, are in the proper scale now. And we're going to be getting, also announced was the Battle Armor Skeletor and Battle Armor He-Man, which look very similar to the original minis figures that we got.
Nice.
And we're getting vehicles, and those will not be in blind boxes. They'll be $10,
mm-hmm.
and they come with the figure.
Well, interesting. On the panel slide, it said $9.99 minis, vehicles, and creatures. So I'm very hopeful that they'll announce, like a Battle Cat, like a, Panther, stuff like that as part of the tournament.
Oh, yes. Yeah. And also there's going to be an online exclusive set, one in Castle Grayskull with 4 heroes, where Ram Man in the mini comic colors will be exclusive to that set. And the box will look like Castle Grayskull. And the other set for the villains will look like Snake Mountain, and I believe they said it was Trapjaw in the mini comic colors.
Mini comic Beastman.
Yes, thank you. I knew it was one of the henchmen. I'm going by memory.
Well,
not even looking at my notes.
Oh, it's fine. So the Snake Mountain will have Skeletor, mini comic Beastman, Stinkor, and Faker. Castle Grayskull will have He-Man, Man-at-Arms, mini comic Ram Man, and Buzz-Off. And each set will be $19.99. They'll be online only, which makes me cringe at the thought that, I hope that they're not Walmart exclusive. I'm not sure how they're
they said it was both Walmart and the mastersoftheuniverse.com.
Oh. Well, so they're going to offer figures directly through mastersoftheuniverse.com.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's fine by me. That's awesome. I want to mention about the $9.99 mini vehicles, the Roton with Skeletor and the He-Man with Road Ripper. So cool. These minis, my wife likes them too. When she sees me with all my Origins figures and Classics figures, she really digs the mini ones. I really feel like Skeletor and He-Man in those vehicle sets, I really would wish that they would change up the colors slightly so that we would have more reason to, to buy them instead of just having an extra Skeletor and an extra He-Man. On the same note, I really feel that the multi-packs, I feel like there isn't a lot of reason not to have all of the figures be unique to those sets instead of just one figure per set. I think they could easily give us like a mini comic He-Man, a mini, just change up the designs slightly so that we don't feel like we're just buying the same figures over and over and over again.
Well, if you notice, when they showed us the inside, all the minifigures were really just paper cutouts.
Yeah, they're paper cutouts.
So they were probably still in the design phase.
Yeah, that's true.
Just that they knew they were going to be releasing them.
They were...
yes, we might be getting a He-Man, but it could be one of those, the Battle Armor or Laser Lights version.
That would be amazing. Yeah, we'll see. That would be amazing. And the boxes are fun. I like that you can turn them sideways and have little, use them for displays. I get a kick out of that.
That's what I like the best.
Yeah. And, it's the first thing I thought of when I saw that those were paper cutouts was the other amazing announcement made during PowerCon weekend, which was the new exciting line of Origins action figures. You guys have checked those out, right?
Origins.
Origins. Yeah, I'll send you the link.
I did see all the paper cutouts.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Okay. It's been a long week. What can I say?
This way, you don't have to worry about a scalper. You can just go to your printer and print them out.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I remember. Yeah. Hey, whatever works up until we get the actual stuff without having to pay like 25 to $30 a figure, or even worse.
Right.
It's like that's a perfect way to solve the problem for the time being.
It was kind of more of a tongue-in-cheek thing, but you can actually, in the Facebook post that's been shared everywhere, you can actually download and print out the figures and actually put them on your shelves as cutouts. And I also want to, and I have the perfect shelf for it, I want to take pictures and make a kit you can download to transform your toy shelf to make it look just like the Origins end cap display that's at Walmart right now. So you don't have to buy one. You don't have to take one from a Walmart. You can actually just make one yourself.
Nice.
All right, so let's talk about Origins, the real Origins.
Well, we've already said they will be everywhere in 21. Mattel did say they are going to re-release Wave 1 and 2, so they're everywhere. There will be exclusives, though, for Walmart and, of course, Target.
Boo.
Hey, each of the stores wanted something special. And you could go to Toy Guru's video where he talks about why exclusives for stores are so important.
I still say boo.
Oh.
They did confirm that all the figures will have a 6-page comic that will continue. We are going to have deluxe versions of some of these figures.
The deluxe figures will have its own unique mini comic storyline for that set.
Yes. So on the horizon, we have Merman coming, Roboto, Stratos, Ninjoy. With Beasts and Vehicles, we're getting Panther done 2 ways, flocked and unflocked. Flocked will be the Walmart exclusive and cost you $15 more.
Mm-hmm.
That's flocked.
We are.
Well, even the package is flocked. That was what they were saying, which amused me. It's like
they flocked everything.
Well, what I love is, when I started when I started watching Pixel Dan's videos, I know in classics he was really upset about no flocking on Panther and all that stuff. And it's like this, I felt like Mattel was like, you want it flocked? We'll give you flocked. We're going to flock the box for you. And that amused me on like a whole different level of it's like, this is like, we're going over the top on this because you complained on that video and here you go.
I'm glad they didn't flock the saddle.
Yeah, that would have been funny. Flock Skeletor too.
I remember when Toy Guru was still at Mattel and they sent that gag gift to Pixel Dan. I could see them doing a whole box full of flock with the flock box for the flocked Panther being sent to him, being flocked to go through the mail. Going overboard on the flocking.
There you go.
Here you go. You complained. Here you go.
It's funny that Pixel Dan afterwards in his video, his individual video about the reveals, he said, "Yeah, Mattel straight up lied to me." about there not being a flocked version. That was hilarious.
Well, they had to keep some things from him.
Yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
But we are getting Land Shark.
Oh my god, I can't. I'm so in love with that land shark. It's amazing.
I love that on the
So
slide. He-Man's love too.
And yet, if you looked at the artwork from Man at Arms, there's the shadow of the land shark. We knew it was coming without realizing it.
Well, and then on some of the box art now, they're hinting at other figures because they did have Triclops and Fisto on some of the art for things in the new waves. I'm like,
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, so we actually pay special attention to this box art. We are getting Easter eggs now.
Well, it's the new equivalent. Like when we were younger, on the back of the mini comics, they would have the copyright TM information in little print on the backs. Mm-hmm. So like you could read all these different names and like Clawful, Cobra Con, and this, and you're like, I wonder what they're gonna look like. And now it's like they don't have that. They're just going to show you the box art. It's like, yes, you will be getting Triclops, you will be getting Fisto. It's like, cool, it's.
Yeah, we're going to be starting to dissect this box art as if we're art majors. Okay, what are we getting? It looks like.
It's wonderful that I love the idea of them showing off future figures on the box art. It's like, why limit yourself to just the figures that are currently released, right? And they didn't even have to. It's very nice that Sam Pack, the designer, was, told us that this was the case, that a big wink, wink, a big hint that these figures are going to be coming out soon. We're going to see them revealed soon. So Fisto, Stinkor, and Triclops are going to be making it to Origins.
And a vintage She-Ra. I have a feeling that the vintage She-Ra that they'll release at retail will have sculpted hair, because they made such a big deal when the pre-sale went on that she had combable hair for the PowerCon exclusive.
Mm-hmm.
And that would make it different.
I kind of dig that because, like, when I was a kid, it was annoying if I took, because I had She-Ra and Bo, and like if I had them out in the dirt, for instance, and it's like, She-Ra would just have like dirt in her hair, twigs, whatever, and it's like, I wish she was like, Tila, where it's like, okay, if she got dirty, just wipe her off and you're good to go. Instead, it's like, it's almost like a random saying, like, Mom, fix my figure, I don't know what to do about this or whatever. And it's like, it's kind of cool that it'll go with the whole aesthetic, in that way. So
trust me, it was a pain in the butt when a doll's hair would get dirty, because you would actually have to shampoo it and condition it. You couldn't blow dry it, because then the hair would melt. I think that was one of the main things I hated about dolls.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, no, I'm a tomboy. I want to be dirty and have the quick cleanup.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. Mattel's, at the panel, the Mattel reps said that they're still deciding what the packaging will look like. And so I'm thinking this could be a whole new subline of Origins figures, right?
It's possible.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, they kind of, there was a question there about, are we going to see others than just She-Ra? And they didn't say no. They definitely didn't just go, no, it's just going to be She-Ra. So, subline, I'm curious if they're going to do sublines even based on the multiverse comic in that way, because we had the Keldor the offering with the voting, and then we had the Anti-Eternia Man at Arms as well. They could almost do their own subline of, here's all the Anti-Eternia variants, here's the Princess of Power stuff. Here, it is quite a, when you think about this line, it is impressive to think all the ways they could go with this thing and turn it into, like, this could go forever if they wanted to, sort of like everybody wanted classics to do,
Oh yeah.
But the first thing, they need to fix those knees on the female
I was gonna
figures.
say, please fix the knees.
Well,
I cannot stand them.
that was heartbreaking. Where Ruben was like, "For now, we're just going to stick with that, and we can't think of a better way of doing it." And I'm like, I didn't see what was so bad about the way they were doing it in classics. I don't care that joint is showing. You know, like it doesn't bother me.
Right. So
Mattel, go back in your books to the 80s Barbie that had the bendable knees. That was all self-contained. Yes, you had the clicking. I could deal with the clicking, but it was more aesthetically pleasing than what we have now with these females.
Yeah. Yeah, they look melted.
yeah, Ruben said that it was a big topic of conversation.
And it is what we're going to get for now, unless
Right.
the fans make a big deal about it.
And that they decided ultimately that with the other joints they're hidden, so that would be the best way to hide the joint. And so hopefully they'll change their mind, but we'll see. I've been
Like I said, go into the girls department, Ruben, dig out the 1980s Barbies, because they all had that knee, and you did not see the articulation. It can be done.
Well, the other thing too, with the new waves that they're coming out with, they're already kind of backpedaling a bit on some of the stuff they're introducing in the waves that we're getting right now.
True.
Because, like, for instance, Skeletor's head, and that's been a 50-50 split with a lot of people in the groups I've been seeing. I'm not a fan. I absolutely do not like open mouth Skeletor. I think it makes it look like people jumped out and yelled surprise at his birthday, and he's just flattered everybody showed up. It bugs me. So, like, when I saw Battle Armor Skeletor, and it looks more here's the way the vintage would look, and then when I see the Target exclusive Keldor, and there's the Alcala head on top of that, I was like, that is definitely what I want to see versus this. So I'm like crossing my fingers, going, if they can undo that stuff and give me the ones that I was waiting for, the potential is there. And hopefully, maybe if they do like a Flying Fist He-Man, a Terraclaw Skeletor or something, maybe by that wave, which unfortunately I don't want to wait that long for that kind of a thing. But maybe they'll do it. I mean, they did it with the ankles in classics. They had those pins showing, and then boom, they had this nice closed off ankle there that actually is way more aesthetically nice and also tighter. So the chances, I'm crossing my fingers, because that is ruining those figures for me with the aesthetics.
Yeah, I really
and
do.
just his response to that just made me go, "You're killing me, dude!" Like I could get into this a lot better if you would get rid of some of those things that are really the eyesores of it, like the Skeletor head, the knees for everybody, not just the females, but everybody is driving me nuts in this line.
That's a really good point you brought up, Shawn, about, I'm right there with you. I hope that they retire the open mouth Skeletor head, and that with, like you said, the variant figures, we'll get the updated, more vintage accurate heads.
Yeah.
And it was one of the questions asked during the panel was, well, so will we see more vintage accurate heads? And Sam Pax said, we're scheming, right? And so, and then they said, basically, keep telling us what you want in the toys in the line, and we'll try to get it in there. And they are listening, and they are making changes. And some other changes are that on the packaging, there's that new for 2020 burst that was removed. And so, some of the Battle Cats you see have the new for 20 on there, and then some don't. That's one example of that.
Yeah. And not to go on another thing, but one other aspect that I would love to see them upgrade at some point is the Battle Cat ankles, because that's one of those things where I'm looking at it and going, how did they not think that was not needed, when in order to pose certain ways, it would be nice to have that articulation there. And granted, I think there is this, well, it's not classics. They don't want to push everything to this level, but there's but you're already pushing some of the articulation further than it was on a vintage figure. You're making one extra thing on, and okay, 4 for each leg, unfortunately. But I'm just saying, across the board, you're making one thing happen on this in that way, and it's like I feel like that's a needed thing too, because you can't really pose it beyond it's standing straight up, and that's a little awkward.
Well, maybe
So-
we'll get. I would hope that we somewhere in the line we'll get these vintage accurate variants of these figures, and that would absolutely be an opportunity for them, especially if it was an exclusive offering at like PowerCon or San Diego Comic-Con. Absolutely. There's no doubt that the price point would be higher because it's a convention exclusive, and then they could push things like the articulation like that.
Sure. Yeah.
What was it? One person even found like yesterday they noticed that some of the Skeletor armors, maybe it's just a factory error kind of thing, but on Skeletor, some of the figures come with a glossy bit of, covering on the gem at the center of his armor, and some of them don't. Some of them are missing that, and so maybe that is kind of an example of some small improvements that they're working towards as they put out more of these figures.
Well, that or the other option is it's like the vintage where this factory made this run, and then over here we had this one from Mexico, and then we have Brazil over here. And it's like I know there were people that were kind of upset about the San Diego Comic-Con ones where you didn't say made in China or anything like that, so there's no indication of where certain ones are made. So for those collectors wanting those versions, and it's like maybe that's how they're hinting at some of those little fixes, and this is the factory that did it out of this area, which for me that's always been a headache to even fathom that. I'm not that guy. I've never ever attempted to become that. It's way too much to keep track of for me. But for those who are interested in that, maybe this is like the beginnings of them going that route as well for this line.
I wanted to mention that with the it's wonderful that they have the deluxe figures they're bringing out with the action features, and that's one of the things I asked about at PowerCon last year was, can we get action figure features? They said, yeah, we can, but they'll be a little more expensive. And so here they are. I'm surprised that Roboto isn't among the deluxe figures, because Roboto, when you twist his, and Robert Rudman, he confirmed this with me on Facebook, when you twist his torso, his gears move and his mouth opens and closes, just like the vintage figure. So I would imagine that would count as a deluxe.
But I noticed with Roboto, they forgot his heart.
Oh, did they?
Yes, I didn't see it.
Hmm.
Well, it'll be interesting too if you do a part swap on him. Will that work with any other bottom, or will it only work with his lower torso part? Because that was something even Pixel Dan was saying in the video. He was like, I don't know if you can take him apart like you can the others, because maybe that is part of what keeps that feature working on him or something. If you have the whole thing together, maybe you swap out the arms and the head or whatever. But
right.
I was impressed
But
by
if
that.
the head is connect where the head has the mouth that opens and closes, you might not be able to swap out the head.
Yeah.
It might just be where you can swap out the boots and the arms.
Yeah, that's true.
Makes sense. Yeah. I remember, and even with today with my vintage Roboto figure, it just annoys me slightly that I can't have him displayed, just looking straight ahead and having his mouth closed. It always has to be open, right? Because of the way he works.
Yeah.
And so maybe there's a way we can finagle it so that we don't have to, so that we can have it open or closed, whichever direction we want. I don't know. We'll see what they come up with.
Yeah, I was thinking of that when they finally get to a mecha neck. If they'll do something along those lines where he could, like classics, you can stand him straight at you, but you can put in that neck that he can, because I was looking at somebody's photos of their vintage collection the other day, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. You'd only be able to pose them like that, and it's like, ugh,
Yeah.
you know, like it was a great feature, but if you want to have him looking like here's neck and neck, yeah, you got him where he's sideways, no matter what you do.
Well, and we've got who did make it to the deluxe line. We've got the Battle Armor He-Man and Skeletor, which it's very cool that they actually are finally putting the drum in there, so we can use his armor feature. The Battle Armor He-Man looks a little odd. Though it looks like there's something going on with the neck. It looks a little too thin in the neck area, but that could just be me. I don't know.
That one's been scrutinized a bunch from a lot of the places I've seen people discussing stuff, and I'm kind. I don't know. Maybe it is the way that he'll look, but I kind of look at it as it seems like that's just a prelim, like digital draft of them. So maybe they'll have some of that kind of sorted by the time that the figure hits the shelves. That's
a good point.
That's what I was figuring.
Well, and there was another.
These were probably prototypes or that very pre-production run where they're still fine-tuning.
Right. Makes sense. Well, and
like the energy effect, is it yellow or is it going to be transparent blue? Because I've seen pictures with both.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'll see.
But I also like that with these deluxe figures, at least He-Man and Skeletor, we're getting extra heads too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
People are going to be buying multiples of both of them just to get those extra heads, for sure.
Well, the origins for me, I'm not going to be collecting them like I did classics. I'm collecting them so that my son has his starter sets and stuff, and he can have his He-Man and Skeletor and all that stuff. But the Battle Armor ones were the ones where I'm like, I think this is where I'm going to jump into it with the potential of, I like that I could have the two different heads from both of them, and then if I got the standard ones, then I could actually use the other head, and that would be the He-Man or the Skeletor compared to what we have right now and all that. So that made me happy to see that there's that, and then. Am I remembering it? Are they having extra hands too in those?
Yeah, it looks like it.
I love that they're going that route with it because it helps that feature of you can make your perfect version or whatever, or the version you want. So it's like, that should have been from the get-go, have at least, a couple pairs of hands with them and all that kind of stuff. So
Absolutely.
We're finally getting to that level, and that's cool.
Yeah. I want an extra hand for Beastman. I noticed on the Origins Beastman figure, his left hand is flat as a pancake. Like, that's fine if they want an open hand, but does it have to be absolutely flat? Can it be like, closed up just a tiny bit, It looks
more realistic. How often do you walk around with your hand straight flat?
Right. It just kind of looks odd. Yeah. Man, so we're getting Clamp Champ, and I assume his claw is like a spring-loaded one because it's the deluxe line. And we're getting Ram Man, which looks amazing. He's one of the top reveals of the whole show, I think.
I was surprised that we were getting him so early with his action feature and a second head.
Yeah. And a second axe, which is kind of nice, have a little variety there.
I mean, in the classics line, it took forever to get to Ram Man.
Yeah. And he actually comes with this, spring-loaded legs. I mean, how awesome is that?
Yeah, we haven't seen that since the 80s.
And they're articulated still. I mean, it's amazing. I just really hope... It doesn't quite look like he has open eyes. It looks like he has the closed eyes again on both heads, just like he was with the classics. And that kind of frustrates the hell out of me. But I guess if people really like to have one figure that always has closed eyes, that's fine. That's their business.
I'm more of an don't have Skeletor opening his mouth guy than worrying about his eyes being open. That's just me. But no, like classics when they did the classics version of him, that made me over the moon because the vintage figure drove me crazy. He was a character that I thought was a cool idea, but he wasn't fun to play with because of how he was articulated. So again, the battle armor, and now here's Ram Man being the way that I wanted him to be when I was a kid. Yeah, it's like they're hitting some buttons where I'm like, you're forcing me, and I'm going willingly more than I wanted to after these reveals. But it's like, between the Target pack, like I said, and the battle armor and him, it's like, that you're getting me pulled in with these now really hard.
Yeah, several of my friends have told me that they were totally against it before. Now they're all in.
Well, I think part of my issue with it was I was very much like I know someone in the community, Danielle Galerter in the community, is like, she wants classics, and I'm that way too in a certain extent. But when you start getting these little nuggets of things that it's like, but I didn't have it like that when I was a kid, that's when you're getting me, because redoing something just for the sake of redoing it doesn't always make me get excited. It's like, but what makes it different? What makes it this version or whatever? And now we're getting into that era of Origins in that way for me, and I'm like, okay, now this is the stuff that you're selling me, the stuff that I felt I was missing when I was a kid in those regards.
Well, like Keldor, and I love that we're getting the Keldor set for only $30, because I have no doubt that it was it would have been intended for use as a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive set. Only $30, Target exclusive, and that is a really cool looking set. I really dig, and I don't know if Keldor's cape is going to be cloth or plastic. I'm not exactly sure about that, but the fact that he, they really upscaled his design, gave him the weapons with the semi-translucent green and purple weapons. That is really, I really dig that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, on top of that, I mean, just them flat out saying, okay, we're going to do some 2000X nods in this line, that automatically made me go, like, that was what got me. And then it's like the battle armor ones. I'm like, and then there's those. And then it's like Ram. I'm like, okay, you got me. Like I'm listening to you, and I'm liking what you're saying at this point, because that Target.
Here's my paycheck. Just ship everything.
Basically, because that Target 2-pack in particular was one where I was sitting there, I had my arms crossed, watching all the thing, going and then when they hit that, I'm like, it's like the and you can see the moment the Grinch's heart grew three times bigger because that moment happened.
I love it. And we're getting a lot more toys now than we're used to, because again, we're used to we got used to the $45 classics figure, and now we've got all these $15 figures we can enjoy all together.
It's like crazy.
And there's so many more people can afford it, than that. The conversation's much louder, right, from the Motu community, because it's more inclusive. Everybody can enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yes. It wasn't, okay, today's the 15th of the month. Okay, 12 noon. Okay, it's 11:59. I'm ready to click on to Maddie Collector. Let's see if I can get in. Yes, I get the figure.
Yeah.
Well, of course. I mean,
and 3 minutes later, sold out.
I don't need to make the comparison between Walmart.com and that, right?
Well, honestly, the one thing Origins has going for it that it does drive me a little crazy with classics in this way is I've always been the sort of person that I want to go to a store and look at what I'm about to buy rather than just send money online, because they're no matter how well they're done, if even if the eyes are a little derpy or if the paint app is a little off, it's like at least I can put that one aside and I can pick another one off the peg and okay, here's a better one or whatever, and it's like it's kind of your best of luck, when it came to classics in that way. And still, because unless you go to a toy show or something, you're not going to see those right there in front of you, and you're just going to get whatever they have. And so in that way, it's like Origins at least has that going for it in spades. And I like that quite a lot as well. At least you see what you're getting and you're happy with the purchase from the get-go.
Well, a lot better than, and this is just how the manufacturing and whatnot works, but you have to, it's like a leap of faith. It's like Indiana Jones in the movie when he steps off the edge, and when it comes to like Mythic Legions or Super Sevens, Ultimates figures, not to pick on them. I mean, they're all amazing, gorgeous figures, absolutely. But there is that leap of faith that you have to take, because you don't even see the designs. With, like, I remember Mythic Legions, it would be like, okay, so here's a stretch goal, and here's a skeleton guy, and here's a little sketch that we made that might look like that.
Yeah, and I don't know. It's interesting just to see how the collecting community, like, we've been so used to this, the online way being the lifeblood of how we've dealt with a lot of things. And there is a part of me where it's like, at least I'm not spending the money in gas and wear and tear on my car driving all over creation trying to find things. But like, there is something to be said about that nostalgia, even of just pulling something off the peg at a store, like when you were a kid, and getting excited to see all of the things that make that toy special and makes you go, I need to get this today, and then on top of that, when you pre-order, who's to say that they're going to hit that mark and you're going to get it in time? I know the Snake Mountain thing is still out there with people. When am I getting that? It's like, you can't win them all.
It's on a boat.
Yeah.
I'm hopeful.
It's on the USS Flag.
Yeah, exactly. It'll come. That's what they're doing. They're designing the USS Flag for underneath it, and that's why it's taking so.
A collaboration between Mattel and Hasbro here.
Oh yeah, it's like well, Super 7 has to send it to HasLab next, and then. Oh lordy, we're gonna get sued by Hasbro tonight. This isn't good. So
how do you feel?
We also did promote some of their toy lines.
Yeah. How do you feel about the fan choice winner?
I'm a little upset. I did want Keldor to win, but when it came down to it, I knew Triclops was going to win because we never got the mini comic version in Classics.
Right. Yeah.
And everyone was screaming for that version for a while.
Time.
I
sure.
I was Team Wondar. There's no way around that, because I just love that guy. And I knew going into that I was an underdog, and then and it's like the Keldor. Honestly, I didn't really care about Keldor or the mini comic Triclops either. I was just like, I'm just gonna vote for Keldor because I got to see it through because I voted for him the first time. But yeah, it's like, I kind of wish it would have been Keldor, only for the fact that if we are getting the standard Triclops, I just kind of felt like, all right, we're getting, Grant, we're getting Battle Armor He-Man, Battle Armor Skeletor. We're gonna be getting variants and all that anyway. But there was a part of me going, I kind of wished it was an option in Classics instead, because that's where I wanted to see it on my shelf. But I saw the writing on the wall. I knew everybody was going to want that over the other ones. So
right,
I'm not dumb, but I'm also sad.
Yeah. Well, it'll be interesting to see how they offer the figure to us. I mean, are they going to do it as like an exclusive to mastersoftheuniverse.com? I don't know. We'll see. Or that new creative website that they're going to be, opening up. I don't know. We'll see.
It would be cool if they had that as an option, like quarterly. I mean, this is the first that they've rolled out the figures. This is the first they've done something like this. Maybe at the beginning of next year, it would be cool for them to offer 4 more figures out there and see what happens, and turn it into a thing that we look forward to, maybe once every 3 or 4 months or something, and make it into, like the fans will actually be excited for the next one, and build the brand even further with like fan choice stuff. So
that would be cool if it was totally new figures, like instead of just bringing back the same figures for more votes, like saying, okay, here's a new batch, but then the figures that were not voted in, you would at least see maybe 2 of those show up eventually in the line down the road.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
agree with that because it's almost like a tease. You don't want to just here's this and then some of the fans that wanted that one don't end up getting anything at the end of the day. That would be great if that was, you know, like they could judge, okay, who voted for the second place one then and get, you know, the numbers for that. Well, then obviously people would like that one too or something and go that route. But and the other thing they could do is there's been talk about, you know, adding new figures that haven't even been a Masters figure yet. That could be a good way of doing it as well. Like they did the fan creation contest for classics and stuff. That'd be a nice way to do it there too. Here's 4 characters that haven't even been introduced yet. What one would work the best for you or whatever.
I would say new characters would work as long as it's a vote, because you know, we got like Side Chop, and my apologies to the person who designed Side Chop, but come on, they weren't all gems.
No,
and they can't wait forever to make the actual figure. Look at Photon. He was voted back in the 80s and didn't get made until Classic.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. That one's a harder one too, just from, you know, the fan perspective, because fans want to see the characters they want to see in the line before they even do something with like new characters that nobody has an attachment to yet. So I can understand that, but I do think that wouldn't be a bad way of introducing if they were gonna go in that direction. That would be a cool thing. Here's a vote. Here's these 3 figures or 4 figures or whatever. Which one makes the most sense or whatever, but. I don't know. It's interesting. It's a fun time. I mean, the amount of input that we're getting, and if they are listening to us, that's cool.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I really do appreciate that we're seeing some of these changes that we've been asking for. So yeah, we'll see how that continues. And you know, one thing I wanted to mention, you know, briefly about these new figures that were revealed. I'm so happy that we're getting a merman that actually looks like the figure that we played with as a child, rather than the being a card back variant, which we're basically getting in the Lords of Power 5 pack anyway, right?
yeah.
Yeah, I believe Merman was part of that pack.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And he looked gorgeous figure in the Lords of Power pack as well. Yeah.
He's the favorite of me from those 5 figures for the 5 pack, and yeah, it is cool that he's coming out as well. And Ninjor out of nowhere.
Ninjor, of course, they designed him with the idea of using just plastic in mind, right? So his head to me looks like too simple and cartoony. The way that what we've been shown looks very simple and cartoony versus what we saw in the vintage line.
Yeah, looking at those 4 new figures, the 3 of them fit in nicely to the aesthetic, and that one, Ninjor, for me felt like the odd man out from the art. He looked off. There was a lot of off in him, and some of it was the head, I think, but others, it just felt like he wasn't ready to be shown or something. I don't know the best way to describe it. The others felt they were realized in that way, but yeah, it is a little weird. There is a lack of detail to this line in some ways that makes me feel like some of the characters don't adapt as well to that as others at times.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's just me, but
no, I get it. And you know, again, it would be an opportunity for like a vintage accurate variant down the road where they use cloth, you know, just like they did with the San Diego Comic-Con Prince Adam, you know, giving him a blue cloth vest. They could bring back vintage Ninjor. They could give us that same design, and he could have the same appeal. So
yeah.
And when are we going to get Stratos with the red backpack?
Hey, you know they'll probably wind up doing two Stratos
Like in the same way.
because
like
that was going back to the 80s where you had some with the red, some with the blue.
That'd be cool. I'd be perfectly fine with that.
Or maybe they could have the vintage version, and then they go to like an MYP feel, and then he'll be the opposite way or something.
Mm-hmm.
That would be better.
That way it differentiates them maybe, but I don't really. It's like, I think these are great ideas, and then the other part of me is like, I don't think they care. I think the other way, like it happened in vintage, maybe they will do it as a variant or something. That'd be kind of fun. So
yeah, I'll have to go back and look at all the card art and cross sell art and see if I can find one in there. I don't know.
I think you should be wrapping it up. It's been 2 hours of PowerCon talk.
Yeah. Yeah, I suppose so.
Well, I'd like to thank you guys for joining us today. Remember to get your up-to-the-minute news on anything PowerCon related at heman.org. And you can also check it out on Nerds on the Couch on Facebook. Till next time, good journey.
And this is David Clark, owner of AdultCollector.org and the Origins Fans Group on Facebook. I want to invite everybody to come celebrate all of the new reveals on the Origins Fans Group and all the other AdultCollector.org pages and groups. And this is just amazing that we can get together and celebrate all of the PowerCon news, and that we even this has been definitely a highlight, a bright point in a very dark year. So thank you, Val. Thank you, everybody who made PowerCon possible. Everybody at Mattel who has made all of these wonderful things happen. Thank you, and good journey.
And this is Shawn. And yeah, I want to, as David said, I want to thank Val and everybody behind the scenes, PowerCon and Mattel as well. Did a great job last weekend, and I am pumped for some more Masters to be coming out and hitting the shelves. And if you want some more Master stuff, my co-host Matthew Duch and I do a podcast as well called Legends of Grayskull Podcast. Don't sue us, Tabletop Game. I swear to God, we took it before you guys. We really did. We've been doing this for like months now, so it's not like this is anything new. But yeah, we were amused when we found that out as well. So Legends of Grayskull Podcast, we talk about the literature and the TV shows and episodes of the cartoons and the mini comics, whatever. We like to cover all that stuff and talk about the deep cuts. So until next time, good journey. Thanks a lot, guys.
Okay. This should be a really
If you liked what you heard, please remember to subscribe to stay up to date with all of our podcasts. Like this video and hit the bell to be notified when we upload new content. This has been a production of Nerds on the Couch. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter in association with AdultCollector.org. You can find them on Facebook. Good journey.